I'm going to follow up my Kraken video in the Georgia yesterday with another Kraken that I actually got during the same play session in another one of my favorite ships, one that I've featured many times before. And apologies if you're getting sick of Khabarovsk content, but here it is again. We're going to end this game with a Kraken. And while it's maybe not as spectacular and maybe doesn't have quite as much educational value as hopefully the Georgia one did, I think there's some good choices that we make in this game that are worth highlighting. So we spawn south of the Charlie Cap, but we're in a Khabarovsk. And as many people will correctly tell you, the Khabarovsk is not well suited to contesting caps. At least not early on in the game, and not the way I built it, which really foregoes concealment in favor of maximum gun range. We've got a 6.9 kilometer detection by sea, which is abysmal by destroyer standards, and every enemy on this team is probably going to outspot us, including maybe even the enemy Khabarovsk. I think there is an enemy Kaba on this team, and in my experience, a lot of Khabarovsks do spec for concealment in one way or another, and I simply don't. So there's that. In any case, we've got a Colbert pushing into the Charlie Cap, which is, I think, a rather poor choice. We're able to light him on fire, which even fires for cruisers can be, well, deleterious to the health. The Colbert is losing a lot of health, and even if he does have 32mm armor plating, this is not the kind of cruiser that you bow tank in. He is nearly gone. He only manages to go undetected because the battleship spotting him goes behind an island, but that's fine. All we have to do here is reverse. We'll have eyes on him once more. We've got the AP chambered. He's got no health. And, well, the salvo's out. Somebody else shoots at him, but they come up short, and we get the kill. First blood. We also get a citadel, and that's the first sinking of the match, 1 of 4. We go forward now. We know that there is a destroyer in Bravo because the cap was taken despite the fact that the Colbert perished, so something else is in there. His torpedoes came through the gap there, which means we should be safe to push in, but whatever this destroyer is, we know he is almost certainly going to outspot us. And this is something to keep in mind. With destroyers like the Khabarovsk, you simply don't need to push them into the cap circles right at the very beginning. Yes, the enemy has secured both Charlie and Bravo, but only 3 minutes have passed in this game. There are still 12 to go, and we're still close enough to the cap that we can get into it and try to make a difference. There's nothing around here that has the ability to shoot at us. The GK is behind these islands, he can't train his guns on us, and the destroyer has actually left the cap. We're suspecting, just based on experience and what we know, that the destroyer left the cap and is in the direction of the GK. So we're going to turn toward that direction in anticipation of torpedoes, and what do you know, it turns out our hunch was correct. We're able to dodge the torpedoes. The gearing is definitely over there, following the GK. I am 100% sure of it in this point in time, and now, well, we're 30 seconds away from taking the cap, so we just have to remain here and finish securing it. But we're already thinking about what we're going to do after we have the cap ribbon. We know the Grosse Kurfürst is pushing this way. We suspect the gearing is as well, and the gearing gets spotted. He's undoubtedly going to be trying to torpedo the battleship here right next to me, who is pushing forward into the cap, which is a good idea. He can get out of the way of the Gearing's torpedoes, and the Gearing just really isn't going to have luck torpedoing him from that angle. Gearing has lost way too many hit points. He decides he wants to smoke up, but really it's too late. We manage to get a salvo into him as he disappears. He shoots back at us, and we line up a blind fire for the second kill of the game. Gearing is taken care of. That just leaves the GK on this side of the map, and after the Colbert, the gearing, well, we've cleared this side, aside from the GK, and I don't think he is going to be willing to push in very aggressively. We've still got myself here, we've got a cruiser, and we've got 2 battleships. That's just too many ships for the GK to push into. He is going to soon make the decision to turn around and kite away. We're going to help persuade him that this is the correct course of action by taking some shots at him with the HE. We light an initial fire, which is continuing to burn, and then that salvo lights a second fire. I don't know if he has his DCP on cooldown or what. I think he is going to end up damage controlling these fires soon. He shoots back at us, but we're far enough away from him, and we're playing with the throttle enough that we're able to dodge the majority of his fire. And at this point, he is turned around and committed to kiting away. So we're just going to farm him as he goes. His DCP is on cooldown, so the next fire we get is going to be a permafire. We just have to send enough shells his way, and there you go. There's a permafire on the GK. He's running away. He's being pursued by one of my battleship teammates, who I think he's actually giving broadside to. And then the cruiser next to me is also taking some time to shoot at the GK. So we've got the Charlie Cap secured. We've essentially secured this entire flank, and we're good to go over here. Our team on the other side has done a fairly good, okay, I don't want to say they've done a good job. We've got a cruiser and 2 destroyers out there in the corner of the map, separated from the rest of us, and it looks like they're being pursued by the enemy team. But it is 2 destroyers being pursued by what appears to be at least 1 battleship and a cruiser, so that may not be all that bad. I'm sure they can get some torpedo action going and all that good stuff. There is still 2 enemy destroyers left, though, so we're going to have to keep that in mind. We're heading back toward the Charlie Cap. We want to get into a position where we can start engaging with the enemies on the other side of the map. The GK is just being farmed slowly to death. He can kite away as much as he wants, which really is probably what he should do in a situation where he's facing odds like this. He is, to be fair, dealing some good damage to our friendly battleship, and he is making himself difficult to kill. His DCP does seem to be on cooldown again, so we're just continuing to farm fires as we slowly head back toward the Charlie Cap. We're not in any hurry, though. We are, of course, far ahead on ships, and we're ahead on points. We've got 2 caps to the enemy's 2. There's no way they're going to get a points lead on us until or unless they start sinking more of our ships than we are sinking of theirs, and to be perfectly honest, that doesn't really seem likely to happen. This is probably the last salvo we'll be able to get on the GK. He is finally flat broadside to the Republique, who honestly is on very low health. The duel between the 2 of them has been pretty good, but it's us who gets the sinking ribbon on the GK and the Arsonist medal to boot. Turns out we did a lot of fire damage to him. Now we can truly commit to heading toward the other side of the map. We've got torpedoes coming through that gap, and we're still spotted, which means one of the DDs has line of sight on us. It's likely the Shimakaze, judging by the torpedoes, and he's likely somewhere in that gap still. We've got a cruiser headed that way, which is nice, and the only ships left alive are a Colbert and 2 destroyers, so none of my cruiser teammates have to worry about any kind of battleship firepower, and this should be a relatively easy game to wrap up. The only question is, how are we going to get this Kraken? We've got 3 kills and we need 2 more, and there's only 3 ships left. Well, there's the Shimakaze, right where I sort of thought he would be, except I would have thought he would have retreated by this point, but it looks like he beached himself on the island. So he gets caught by the cruiser's, I guess, sonar, and, well, he's in bad shape. He's trying to retreat. He does manage to get himself behind the island, but it's only going to be a momentary reprieve. Since we can't shoot at him, we'll take some pot shots at the Colbert, who is running away. Maybe we can get lucky with a fire. Colbert drops spot, though, so we are going to turn in toward the Bravo Cap and pursue the Shimakaze. Although we do have to be cautious. It wasn't too long ago that we saw the torpedoes, but by this time the Shimakaze is probably reloaded, so we don't want to come full speed around this corner and eat a face full of IJN torpedoes that can probably sink us with 1 single hit. We are going to turn on the engine boost, though, because we do want to pursue the Shima. The cruiser is also pursuing him, so I think it is extremely likely that he's launched torpedoes at the cruiser, torpedoes that could catch us if we're not careful. And thanks to the cruiser's sonar, we do get advanced warning of the torps. We slow down a little bit so that we do not take them. And then we turn in narrowly toward the island. We want as little space between ourselves and the island as possible. Bizarrely, the cruiser pings me for support, as if that's not exactly what I'm trying to do. And, well, the cruiser finds the Shima again. We have guns on the Shima, so does the cruiser, so he has no hope of escaping. We're much faster than him, and we manage to get the killing blow yet again. There's 4 kills. That just leaves the enemy Khabarovsk and the enemy Colbert. We're going to get into the Bravo cap now, and much to our surprise, we find that the Bravo cap is about to be shared by the enemy Kaba, who is giving us broadside. So we're going to switch to the AP, because the Kaba has 50 millimeters of plating, and we can get full penetrations on that 50 millimeter plate, whereas our HE shells will simply shatter on it. In any case, we aren't able to finish off the Khabarovsk right yet. He goes behind the island, we're not able to shoot at him, but our cruiser teammate is able to shoot at him, and he's got no health left. He's conducting a turn. We send a salvo his way, but the cruiser connects before we do, so there goes our Kraken, right? Well, not quite. We still have Colbert, who has almost no hit points. He's almost kind of giving broadside to our position, so we're switching to the AP. We do have a fire burning on him. One AP salvo connects, and that's all it takes. Kraken unleashed, and we win the game in a very quick fashion with a rather kill-stealing or yoinking, or, depending on your point of view, kill-securing Kraken. Less than 100,000 damage done, but 2,755 XP due to the damage we did against the destroyers and the cap. So, who says Khabarovsk can't fulfill the role of a DD? It can, you just have to be patient. Hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.